Andrew, I just got a thing, sign in, like when I went to refresh it.
Good evening, everybody. I'll call to order the regular board meeting of the Batavia Public Library District for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. Marianne, would you call the roll?
Yes. Colada.
Here.
Deachman.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Hubbard. Here. Larson. Russo.
Here.
Fasano. Here.
Thank you, Marianne. And Christy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 4 on our agenda this evening is comments from the audience. Would anyone here or online like to speak to the board? With no one indicating the need to speak to the board, we'll move on to number 5, approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by trustee Ford, and a second. Second by trustee Deachman. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is approved. Number 6 is the consent agenda, and that has 2 items on it. The regular board meeting minutes for February 20th, 2024, and the February 2024 financials. Would someone like to make a motion to approve those 2 items?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
A motion by trustee Fasano and a second by trustee Hubbard. Any discussion? Marianne, would you call the roll?
Yes. Colada.
Aye.
Deachman.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Hubbard. Aye. Larson. Russo.
Aye.
Fasano. Aye.
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved, and we move on to item 7. Actually, we're going to go through a number of items, probably fairly quickly tonight, but we did discuss them at our last COW meeting. So number 7 is the approval of the employee handbook.
So in this final draft in the packet, there are several pages where we made some small changes that we discussed at the COW meeting. So the first one's on page 18, where the section that's highlighted in yellow was added. It describes the rules, regulations, and meaning the handbook, benefits that have been formulated by the library board to ensure that the staff operates effectively to achieve the library's goals and serve the public the best way possible. This is big 18, by the way. It is not intended to be comprehensive or to address all the possible applications of or exceptions to the general policies and procedures described. And then on page 20, I think this is new. The staff of the library is organized as follows, or was that?
We changed it a little bit based on the residents of the district.
Oh, residents of Batavia, that's what it was, yes. So that's been changed. And then 33, we added at the very top of the page, immoral, illicit, unsafe, or fraudulent or dishonest under the whistleblower policy. Page 44. I think that was just capitalized. So library property is now lowercase. That's all for that. And then on page 46, looks like it's a very small thing, manager or the executive director on the 3rd paragraph from the top. Page 57, it's at least, under tuition reimbursement, library staff with at least 6 months tenure are eligible to enroll in LTA, we spelled that out, because before we just had the acronym. Programs or master's level library information science courses. So it matches what we also stated further down in the policy. 63, we added text under emergency closings, because that's a key way we communicate with each other after hours. Page 68, I think is the last one. And Lisa added in the formula towards the bottom, your prorated amount per paycheck, to make sure that's clear on how that works. And those, I believe, were all of the suggestions or the corrections that we needed to make from the town meeting.
Any questions or discussion?
Very thorough, incredibly thorough,
Thank you.
comprehensive, readable.
Yeah. Not too overwhelming.
I'm sorry.
Not too overwhelming, I hope.
And then once this is approved, you will go over it with current employees as well as new employees in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I sensed a lot of enthusiasm for it last time, so nice job. And would someone like to make motion to approve it?
I move that we approve this, the changes to the, whatever,
Employee handbook.
employee handbook, the word piece.
This is volume 1, volume 2 next month.
A motion from trustee Hubbard and a second.
I'll second that.
Oh, she got it.
War and Peace.
I'll second the handbook.
And a second from trustee Collada. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the handbook is approved. Moving on, number 8, the approval of disposal of surplus property.
So I presented this list of items that we want to dispose of at the COW meeting. Most of these things will be repurposed. So you just need to formally vote to approve our plans to dispose of this surplus property.
And the effort is to recycle it or get it
Right.
to another,
Right.
not for profit.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the surplus property list. A second?
I will second that motion.
So a motion by trustee Russo and a second by trustee Fasano. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the list is approved. Okay, number 9, financial reports.
Okay. So, page 77 is, we have the working budget through February of 2024. And the one thing I just wanted to point out is that we've got, let's see, March, April, May, we have 4 months left in the budget. And as you can see, Joe has projected what he thinks that the final numbers will be by the end of June. And we all know Joe's projections are pretty darn good. So we're pretty much where we need to be, right on target. And one of the things I wanted to just point out is how our budget, because we're getting ready for fiscal year 25, we're working on the budget stuff. So, and as Joe indicates in this working budget, you can see the different, it'll say percentage total of whatever. And so he does that at the end of each of the big categories. So he does it at the end of the he does it at the end of materials, library materials, both print and otherwise. At the end of personnel expenses, operating expenses, operating equipment and technology, combining those together. Also the special funds, and then the transfer that we make to special reserves at the end of the year. So when you look at that, you know, it all equals about 100%, which would be the whole budget. And about 11% of our budget goes towards materials, 53% towards personnel, which includes all benefits. Operating expenses is 11%, equipment and technology 1%, and those two combined is 12%, which is indicated in the working budget. And then we had budgeted to transfer about 12% into special reserves earmarked for the remodeling project. It might actually be higher than that from Joe's calculations, so knock on wood that that's the case. It could be as high as 19 or 20%. Excuse me. And then we budgeted for our special funds, which is our IMRF, our FICA, maintenance, liability, and audit. That's about 11% of our budget. And I don't foresee that these percentages are going to drastically change in the budget for next year. There might be a few, 1 or 2% changes here or there, but it's pretty much going to be the same. And it's a very healthy balance, according to the guidelines that we go by through the state. We're well below the max for personnel, which is always your biggest budget area. So we're in good shape. And then on page 81, cash and investments. So when you look at Bank Corp, 3 fund special reserve, so that is the balance as of the end of February is $3,889,000 and some change, more than change. And then we have the development fund, which is just over $95,000. As we talked about at the COW meeting, we have the foundation money that's around $100,000. So all together, those 3 things, which is kind of our savings, if you will, it's just over $4 million. Now, at the end of June, we anticipate that that's going to go up another 500,000, 600,000, Joe?
Actually, if we transfer both what we budgeted and what we're likely to have is,
It'll be,
it'll be closer to $1 million additional.
okay, so I guess the point is we could have around 5 million in our, between these accounts that we can kind of earmark for the remodeling project, and as we get closer to actually, working on that. So that's a very good position to be in. Let's see. And that's all I wanted to really highlight on the finances.
Well, I have questions.
Yeah.
I had made some notes, and it said, and I was gone, unfortunately for meetings. But we were going to look at the status of the contract, and you may have mentioned this.
The what contract?
The status of the contract that we had signed.
The architect's
the
contract.
architect.
Oh, right. Yes, I'm sorry. I still have to follow up on that with, I don't believe I have to follow up on it because I don't believe we are under contract with them. Because when they did their proposal and that was a standalone project, but we are not obligated to use their proposal. But I can double check on that.
And I also noted that you were going to wait until January, until the adult and teen service employees were hired, get their input and.
Wait for what?
Get their input on what.
Oh, remodeling?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just wondering if we might be going forward with this, or the interest or the construction costs we're getting out of outrageous and we're putting it off
So,
completely, or?
well, what we discussed last month was that we've identified that our collection needs a lot of attention. We have a lot of materials that have not circulated in over 3+ years, some much longer. And before we tackle a remodeling project, we wanted to really get the collection under control so we know how much space we're talking about and how that's going to impact the remodeling project. The collection hadn't really been properly weeded in a very long time, so this is a big weeding project that should not, after this, it will never be this big because we'll keep it on our regular schedule. There's just you should weed a little bit every year, but you kind of do bigger weedings every 3 to 5 years. And this is something that hasn't been done in a lot longer than 3 to 5 years. So we want to make sure it's done. We need to make room for new materials that are coming in. And I've been talking to the staff and the management team about focusing on space and collections in this past year and coming months, because I think that's all going to influence how we want to use the space for the remodeling project and ideas. And we've already, we did the temporary teen area to try it out. Well, I'm glad we did it because we tried it out, and what we've discovered is that we don't think teens want to be in the middle of everything. So when we do a permanent room, and I think the plans that were done, a year or two ago, the teen room was going to be somewhere where we kind of located now. But what we're finding is that they still will go downstairs to the youth department because they are not so conspicuous. And so that makes us realize, well, we need to rethink where we want to put this teen space so that we can still, of course, keep an eye on it because they are teens, but that they're going to be more likely to want to use. So I've kind of seen the last 9 months for me is to getting to know the library, the collection, the community, the staff. And now we'll have 4 new managers by the end of next month, or by the end of the summer. I'm sorry, the end of the fiscal year. And so they also need to get to know the library, and especially with youth and adult, know the collection, so that when we make these big decisions about a remodeling project, they're thoughtful decisions that we have all the background we need to do it as carefully and thoughtfully as possible. So that's kind of where I'm coming at with the remodeling project. I don't want to rush it because I want to make sure we get it right.
And I would add, I'm really hoping that we can work on the strategic plan.
Yes.
Which I think will help us really be ready for that remodeling project, where we look at things and reconsider and forward think and really get excited about that project.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep bugging and every so often.
Good.
Believe me, nobody wants to do it more than I do,
Sure.
but I just want to make sure that the staff and I are really thinking about it hard, how we want to proceed, so that we don't rush into something.
Any other comments or questions about the financial reports? And on behalf of the board, Joe, I'll just thank you for hanging on, for getting the next fiscal year budget in shape before moving on. So that's really nice to hear.
Sure.
Number 10 on the president's report, 3 quick things. I know we're only in the middle of March, but next month is April, and it's not this year, but it's next year where we will pick a new library leader. And a library leader is anyone who's made an outstanding contribution to the staff It's on the library website. So as we go through the next few months, be thinking about who those people are who should be nominated for the award. Anybody can make the nomination. So go to the website if you've identified a special person for the Library Leader Award. Second, I want to thank Lisa Moore for her years of service in HR. She'll be leaving us in just a few days, and so I want to be sure to wish her well. And then last, Jo will in just a minute be talking about her report, and I think this report is just a wonderful one, like all of them, but it reminds us, you either read or will hear mentions about Markland, Memory Kits, Maker Zone, Heart Health, Homeschools, Imagination Librarian, and Imagination Library, and a lot about prom dresses. But all of those things show how the library is more than just that collection of materials. It's really all the connections that you make in the community. So watch for that theme because it's really strong this time. Number 11, directors and librarians reports.
So I'll just go through mine really fast, and then I will let Lisa and Megan present their reports to you. Just to follow up on last week's Cal meeting about the Library Foundation. So Joe and I are going to reach out to the Community Foundation and confirm or ask the things that I have listed here. Confirm that they provide the 501c3 tax exempt status for donations to our fund. Confirm ownership of the assets. Can we get access to statements going back to 2006 when we joined the Community Foundation so that we can track donations, and more specifically, any Save the Maps contributions to see how much of the money that's in that account has been specifically earmarked for the Save the Maps. Do they complete annual audits, and how can we obtain copies of the audit every year? If we do not have a library foundation for the library, do we need to add this fund to our annual audit since it is overseen by the board and the library director and not by a separate foundation board? So these are the kinds of things we have to ask. Can someone from the Community Foundation make a short presentation to the library board at a future meeting? We want to update our profile account on their website, remove the maps restoration program, and substitute it with something general or specific to the remodeling project. So that's just a recap of what we discussed last week.
Great job.
If you are, just so we can avoid the problems of rescheduling the Cal meeting from last week, moving forward, if you are not able to attend, and you try to give as much notice as possible. Part of the problem with the crunch of the last Cal meeting was that we were discovering that the more people were saying, I can't come, or I'd like to reschedule, and we had a very tight timeline for OMA. We have to post the agenda on our website and on the library entrance 48 hours before the meeting. And so we were kind of running into crunch time, and that's just kind of ultimately, not panicked, but I made a quick decision trying to get as many board members to be able to attend as possible. So my apologies for that. But if you know in advance that you are not able to make a meeting, please let Daniel and myself know so that if there are more, than 3 board members who are not able to attend a meeting, we'll have advance warning and be able to reschedule it. That wasn't what happened last time, but I was afraid that somebody might not be able to make it, and then we wouldn't have a quorum. So anyway, literacy volunteers, as I said before, we had the Trivia Bee contest. Our team was made up of Dory from CERC, Aria from YS, and Cindy Peterson from Tech Services, and they came in second place. They each won some gift cards to some chocolate extravaganza in Geneva. It sounded really lovely. They did a great job, that place. And of course, Daniel was the judge. He did not bring his gavel, but those were hard questions. And
They were hard
put you guys on the
questions.
spot about,
Tricky ones.
there were quite a few challenges, some of which I thought were a bit much, but anyway, it was fun. March staff update. So as Daniel referenced, Joe has generously offered to stay about 6 weeks longer than he originally thought. His last day is gonna be May 23rd, but he's gonna see us through the budget planning process. So thank you, Joe. And then we have interviewed candidates to replace Lisa Moore in the Human Resources Manager position. I'm happy to report that today, our top candidate accepted. Her name is Amy Sorrow, and she used to work at the Batavia Park District and Kane County Wildlife Preserve or something. She's worked in the area for different government or nonprofit agencies, and she's really glowing references and just a delightful person. So she's going to start March 8th. April 8th. I do that every time. April 8th. So we're taking Lisa out to lunch tomorrow, the management team, to celebrate Lisa as a person and as our little goodbye lunch. And then there's going to be the staff are going to do a little something here in the library. So I'm actually visiting my sister next week, so I won't be here on her very last day, but that's probably a good thing because it'll be hard to say goodbye to Lisa. So anyway, she's just been the heart of the library for many, many years, and we're all gonna really miss her. We did hire a new librarian in the youth department, Allison Wise. She's fabulous. And I have not met Doretta, but we have a new page, Doretta Holt. And some big anniversaries in March. Hans in promotional services, 15 years. Sherry Harrison in CERC, 17 years. Snesha, am I saying that right? Snesha Joshi? Sneha, sorry. 1 year in CERC, and Diane Oakland, 11 years in CERC. Okay, so I listed a lot of upcoming meetings because it's 3 months, till the end of the fiscal year, and we've got some big things coming up. April 4th at the Committee of the Whole, I would like to do like a preliminary discussion with the board about going fine-free. I won't go into great detail about it now, but I think it's something that we need to really seriously consider. I would say more than 50% of the libraries within Swan or Rails? Swan.
80% in Swan.
Oh, 80% are fine-free in Swan.
Aren't we pretty much fine-free already?
No, we are not fine-free. But
During COVID, I think, we were suspended fines, didn't we?
Yeah, for a period of time, but they've resumed.
yeah. So Leslie and I will be putting together some information that we'll present to the board about the benefits of going fine-free and what little impact it will have on us in terms of revenue and materials, not being returned, et cetera. And part of the reason I want to talk about this now, next month and continuing forward is because, I want that to be included in when we put our budget proposal together, that will be reflected if we are fine-free. And then we'll do a preliminary discussion of what we've got going on with the budget. Then let's see, in May, that's going to be our busy month. I forgot about the decennial committee, so we had originally said maybe, scheduling it for April 4th, but I'd like to do it in May instead. I would add the decennial committee to this list. We could do that at 6:30 on the 9th of May. I think it'll be pretty short, probably a half hour, so we could start the COW meeting around 7 PM on that evening. And at the COW meeting, we're going to review the fiscal year 25 working budget proposal. And then we'll have 2 ordinances for you to review, the board's regular meeting schedule, which Daniel pointed out that in July, the very first COW meeting for that fiscal year is on the 4th, so the dates in July are going to be moved back a week. But I'll have a full calendar for you to review, make sure everyone's doesn't have any big conflicts, so we can have you approve that schedule. And then the ordinance for which we are required to do annually is the policy on service to non-residents. And then at the regular meeting, you will approve the ordinances, whether or not we go fine-free, and the working budget for fiscal year 25. Then in June, I'm going to present a new policy. It's our circulation policy, but we're going to call it a general policy. It's going to include all of the circulation, the rules or guidelines that we have, as well as our hours of operation, the holidays that we're closed. It's kind of a general policy that is an overview of library services, et cetera. And that's the last really big policy that we're revising, and that the board will be reviewing and approving. And the reason I'm doing that at the end of the fiscal year is because whether or not we go fine-free will impact how that policy is written. And that's that.
A lot of stuff.
I know, it's going to be busy.
I'll
Busy,
email you.
busy, busy.
There's a couple of those dates I can't make already.
Sorry?
There's a couple of those dates I can't make,
Okay.
but I'll email you. I can't make May 9th or June 18th, actually that day.
June 18th?
Yeah. or
June
May 9th.
18th is
So, you mean the 16th?
I think that's actually the 18th,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
So the date there is wrong?
The date is wrong.
Tuesday, June 18th,
Yeah, it should
okay.
be Tuesday. I won't be in town that day, and it's May 9th.
So,
So,
I think it's going to be really important to know if that everyone will be able to attend at least the May regular meeting, that we'll have a quorum, because that's going to be a very important meeting to pass our budget and those 2 ordinances at the very least. So
The decennial, isn't that what you wanted to change?
she was gonna do that on May 9th.
that we're going to do on May 9th, but that's okay. We've already done a bulk of the work. It's just approving the final version of the.
Oh, I thought that was the one when it was mandatory for everybody to do that.
Well, I mean, it's preferred, but.
I'll send you an email in the
Okay.
next couple of days, so you've got it.
But just want to check and make sure there's no conflict with the 21st of May for our big,
I don't
okay. Well, it's the usual, it's the 3rd Thursday, so it's part of our, Tuesday, thank you.
Tuesday.
But we just want to make sure that approving the budget, I mean, we could postpone it till June, but we just don't want to mess that up. It's important. Okay, so that's it for my report. And now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Megan. She's listed here right after mine, and then Lisa will follow up.
So as Joe mentioned, we're doing a lot of work in the collections right now. So the big kind of phase of the project has been getting as much of the AV together as we can. There's a slight bit left to go that'll get moved over when the music CDs come, but the rest of it is now all in one section, and it fits on the shelves in uniform shelving instead of different heights and different collections in random spots. So we're really happy with how that's gone, and we're moving into the nonfiction area as well. We are also excited that memory kits are now out on the shelf. I know Carrie showcased them, I think, at a former board meeting. They are now, people have started checking them out. They are out there. And we've had, Misty and Laura did a really good job of showing them at memory cafes and different outreach events all around the community. So we've gotten some great responses to that. Our outreach overall is going well, as Daniel mentioned too. We were able to bring back the community check-ins for virtual programs, so we got great numbers of that last month. Our home deliveries are still doing really well. We had 308 items go out in February during 13 visits. And we are going to start having Markland come visit us regularly, twice a month. And that is an organization that helps people with pretty significant developmental disabilities and different healthcare needs. So they're going to come in small groups twice a month, and we're going to do it in collaboration with youth services to offer different programs and activities for them while they're here, different story times and crafts and games and helping out around the library, whatever fun we can come up with. So we're excited for that. The daily cap on Hoopla has been removed. So now, while people still have a monthly allotment that they individually have to their card, there is no longer a daily limit for the library. So if someone logs in near the end of the day, and it happened to be a day that a fair amount of people check things out, they'll no longer be stopped from accessing things. So that's great. Our newspapers look really nice. We got some acrylic holders out there. And we also now have the Maker Zone webpage up. We worked really closely with the promotional services department with Kristen and Hans to be able to get all the equipment information and program information and different things about the Maker Zone that is now up on the website, and it looks really good. So we're excited about all those things.
Thank you.
Next. That'll be faster. Thank you. This is where I curse that I use really small font. The eyes don't see like they used to. So February was a busy month in youth services. We're still continuing to have great success with what we call our passive programs. So those are the programs that kind of take place out on the floor in the department for the entire month, and you can just drop in and do them anytime. We had a winter themed bingo that was really popular. Think kind of like a scavenger hunt, looking for different pictures and then finding, a bingo across, down, what have you. February was also American Heart Health Month, and our library associate, Mary Steskill, did a wonderful job with a whole discover and uncover about learning about how the heart works and how to keep your heart healthy and the importance of exercise and also eating healthfully. And if we can't amuse ourselves in youth services, we're not doing it right. So we had a lot of fun watching them do jumping jacks and things like that as well. So they also had fun examining hands-on heart models, so that was fun to watch as well. We had a wonderful time with our homeschool hangout program. That's a monthly program that takes place and is done in collaboration with Mallory Manning from Teen Services. And in February, we had a Valentine's Day party. If you think about being homeschooled, you don't necessarily have that experience. And so we kind of did what I would call an old school class party with a Peanuts video and some crafts and some games and some snacks. They all had a great time at that. Firefly Theater, if you were here on Monday, February 19th in the morning, which was President's Day, you would have seen a huge amount of people, we're talking like pre-COVID numbers, in our founders room across the hallway. Wonderful program with Firefly Theater called Spark Snow Day, and we had a lot of folks packed in there, 180 to be exact. It was incredible, a lot of energy. And the United Way came and had a little informational table there as well, talking about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and also their Success for Six program, which is helping get funding for preschool for those that might not otherwise be able to afford it. So wonderful opportunities there. We wrapped up our winter reading challenge, and I'm pleased to report that we had a 28% increase. So that was exciting. It was really more of a low-key activities-based program than reading. Reading was one of the activities, but a lot of other things. So it's a great opportunity to get participants that might not have reading at the top of their list and sneakily bring them in and get them to do a little reading on the side. And we also use social media to promote some of our databases that we saw had kind of seen a dip in usage, and that has helped increase things as well. So we appreciate all our talented social media friends that help us with those posts. And as Megan mentioned, we're also doing some weeding. We're still working our way through the fiction collection, audiobooks on CD. You might have seen those really unattractive spinner racks at the back of our department that have our audiobooks on them, and our goal is in the next month hopefully to get rid of those and put all of those audiobooks on shelves. And thanks to facilities, we got rid of our auxiliary reference desk, which was going unused. And now we have an extra seating area. So when Joe was talking earlier about just making the floor generally more attractive, we're really working towards that in small ways that don't cost us money and hopefully are a little more impactful for our patrons. So that's everything for youth services.
It's fun to hear about what you're doing, so thank you.
Joe, did you want to talk about those two?
The charts.
Okay,
Or
sure. I'll just highlight a few things with the statistics, my hair. Let's see, on page 90, where we're looking at checkouts, we have, so our biggest, the biggest number of items that check out are fiction for adults and picture books for children. And then followed by nonfiction for both adult and youth. Our teen numbers are, not super high, but they're not horribly low either. And fiction is the most popular thing for teens to be checking out at this of materials. Let's see, and then on page 92, these are electronic materials. And you can see that audiobooks, the downloadable audiobooks and the ebooks are the most popular digital forms that patrons are using. With the electronic magazines coming in third, but much lower number, but still that's the next highest, which I think is interesting. And then page 94, for the non-print materials circulating, DVDs for both youth and adult are the have the largest numbers, and by far. And then, let's see what's next. CDs are still getting checked out by adults, not so much with, well, yes, with kids, but not as much. And that's that. It's really the DVDs, and Blu-ray is on there too, separate. So let's see. Also, a program attendance is up from last year at this time, mostly because we had a virtual program in February. I forget what, I don't remember what it was. There was a program in February where there was 8,000, I believe it was one program where there was 8,000. It was probably a collaboration with some other libraries.
Those are typically mostly from community check-in.
Oh, that's right, our social media is on here. Well, so you can see how popular our social media posts are. That's huge. So anyway, but the in-person, which we're doing more and more of, for the adults, we had over 300, whereas last year at this time we didn't have any in-person adult programs, but this year we did. And then for the youth, all of theirs, I mean, they do a little virtual stuff, but their numbers are higher in their in-person youth services attendance than last year by about 300 people. So that's good. Those are showing our numbers are growing. And then you can see the number of programs that we offered in February on page 97. We offered a little less than we did the prior year, but our attendance went up. So, it's not a bad thing if we're doing less as long as we're reaching more people. So that's that. And then the very end of your packet is the Facebook post that was made by Joanna Melinda with Chip-In, who did the prom dress giveaway, and there's some good pictures of the day. and just how the day went. They had a really good turnout, there was a line out the door, and I still think they had lots left over, but they did get rid of a lot too. Or gave, yes, I don't want to say get rid of. They were distributed a very nice number of dresses, shoes, jewelry, probably tiaras, I don't know, there was, everything was there, so.
That's such a wonderful community event.
It
Yeah.
is.
So, that's all I got.
All right, well, that was a lot. Thank you for those reports. Number 12 on the agenda is just a reminder of our upcoming meetings. And number 13 is adjournment. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Ford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.